And there are a lot of similarities between the hybrid program and the online program, but I'll kind of talk a little bit about those. So the hybrid program was started in the fall of 2011, and it's a 3-year program. And there are 2 tracks. So this is the original program. So there's a PK-12 leadership track, as well as a higher ed administration track. Both programs are 60 credits long. That's 15 courses because they're 4-credit courses, and it can be completed in 3 years. Actually, it's 34 months. It's not even a full 3 years. It's possible to do that. For the hybrid program, we have 4 program outcome, what we call themes, and the courses align with one of these themes, or sometimes a couple of them. Educational leadership, so regardless if you're in PK-12 or higher ed, educational leadership, organizational theory, pedagogical theory, or research skills. Now, of course, that some of these topics look different in the K-12 setting versus the higher ed setting. So we do have separate courses for some of these, but we overlap on courses for research. And so I'll talk to you about that in a second. There are three major milestones, which are pretty typical for doctoral programs. The first is the dissertation proposal. The second is the comprehensive project. We actually don't do comprehensive exams like traditional programs do. We actually do a comprehensive project, which I'm really excited about. One, because I don't think that exams are actually a really good way to measure learning at this level. And also, a comprehensive project allows students to actually work on an issue and address an issue in their everyday work. And it's been really exciting to see what students are doing with their comprehensive projects. And then the dissertation. And most of the dissertations are related to what people are doing in their day jobs. There's some issues that they want to address. And so they may do it with just the dissertation, or sometimes with the dissertation and the comprehensive project. Where our program is a little bit different is students start working on their dissertation in the very first course. And so we actually have assignments built in to most of the courses in the first year of the program for students to begin exploring their topic and kind of digging deep into it. You don't need to have a topic or even a specific question yet, just a general area of what you want to work in. For example, student leadership. You may not know exactly what in student leadership, but student leadership may be something you're interested in. There'll be assignments, discussion posts, opportunities to talk with colleagues and professors to kind of begin to dig down. We think about the dissertation like a funnel. You're going to start really broad, and then as you work through that first year, you're actually going to hone in on what that specific research question is. In a couple of our research courses, there'll actually be some practice research proposals, which help give students an idea about what the dissertation proposal looks like, but also really begin to kind of explore some topics. And we have some students will start on one topic and then we'll kind of move to another one. But pretty much everybody settles in by the end of the quantitative methods course, which is the 4th course in the program. So here's some of the strengths of the hybrid program based on what the students have told us. So I do, my background is assessment, so I gather a lot of feedback from students, do assessments and evaluations every year of the program. And consistently what students say is they love the structure and the format. They like the hybrid program because they do have some in-person time, although we haven't been able to do that this year. But the hybrid program is mainly online. We do meet for 2 weekends per term, at the end of the first week and then at the end of the 6th week. The residencies last from 4 p.m. on Friday until 8 p.m. on Friday night, and then Saturday from 9 until we finish by usually 4-ish. We provide the meals. We meet right in the education building here on campus. Well, actually, I'm in Hampton right now, but in Henniker. And we provide all the meals, and it's a great bonding opportunity. And then we also have a week-long residency in July. And that really is to kind of pull everybody back together before we start the next term in the fall. And so what students like about that is there's a lot of flexibility to do the work on their own time because most of it's asynchronous. But there is the opportunity to come together as a cohort to really connect with each other in those times in between. And this is kind of just an example of actually some of the students from the class of 2019 who got together even outside of residencies. So there are a lot of students that even can create their own ways of communicating in addition or outside of residencies. Almost every cohort has their own either group text or some message me system set up so they can communicate regularly with each other and not have to worry about Facebook. So there's really, really close bonds that connect with folks. The residencies are really experiential. So we very seldom lecture. It's all application of content. It is individual reflection, it's group research, it's group discussion. There are a lot of different activities. Students are never bored during a residency. We leave exhausted because everybody's working full time, but we leave exhilarated because it's just a very energizing weekend. And then during those residencies, we also do a lot of work together, and there are opportunities to do some work on some of the research, work on some of the homework that you end up doing, but we do that in a group setting. It's just a couple of pictures of some of the conversations we've had in class in the past few years. As you can see, people are laughing, so they are actually having some fun during the residencies. And then we do a lot of different activities and use a lot of different modes of education. So some of it's discussion, some of it's, as you can see, drawing and pictures, a lot of different things that we do. And regardless if it's the hybrid program or the online program, we intentionally have a cohort model. So students are going to come in together and take the exact same classes all the way through. Except for in the hybrid program, there's some, the K-12 class, the K-12 and higher ed students will have some different classes for the same topic. But they'll still go through as an entire group. And so that way, individuals really build some close bonds. This is, again, that group from 2019, and every single residency, they would take a photo. And this one's kind of one, I think they called this their rock album photo. But every residency, they would take a different photo to document what was going on. And this is a group, I think this is the class of 2016. And one of the students, actually Eric, the guy in the blue shirt and the tie, he had learned that the tradition in Finland is for doctoral students to get a top hat and a sword. So we got them all top hats and a sword for graduation. So this is the residency right before they finished up. We have faculty who are either current or past practitioners. All the full-time faculty at NEC have been practitioners. And then all the other folks we pulled in are current practitioners or recently retired. And so we're very intentional about getting folks who have a wide range of experience. Some people have been vice presidents, some people have been deans, some people have been superintendents. So we really try to get a wide range of experiences from folks, but everybody who are experts in their field because they're doing this work every single day. We try to get as much diversity as we can in the program. You know, it's a little bit more challenging for a residential program because it's really based on people in the region. Although with the hybrid program, we've actually had students flying in from Chicago, California, Michigan, even Florida, because it's, you know, they're actually able to do that. But we really strive to have as much diversity as we can. We just started a diversity, equity, and inclusion task force within the doctoral program to really look at how we can do a better job of being inclusive and focus on equity. And we just distributed a survey to our students and alumni actually this morning to try to get some feedback from that. And that feedback is going to be the basis for some strategic planning within our program. And our institution is also going through a similar process. The research topics are pretty much anything you can think of. We've had students look at the impact of LGBT centers on personal validation. We've had a student take a look at the impact of Facebook, mindfulness in student affairs practice, non-collaborative assessment. We actually had somebody who was looking at a retention of Baptist ministers in seminaries because he was tasked to start a seminary in Vermont. We've had a student look at the impact of Minecraft on information literacy, bilingual immersion and student achievement at the high school level, using Web 2.0 to enhance elementary writing. I can go on and on and on. It's really whatever's interesting to you. The faculty will support pretty much anything that's related to education. So really, the research opportunities are as open as your imagination is. And then in our for our graduation rates in our hybrid program, we have 84% of our students finish the coursework in those 32 months or 34 months. We have 62% of our graduate students graduate with actually in the three years, 72% in 4 years, 74 in 5 years, and 75% in 7 years. Now we're pretty happy about this because the national average for social sciences doctoral degrees is 49% over 10 years. And so we have a much higher rate for a shorter period of time. And I think a lot of this has to do with the structure of the program. We've done a really good job over the last probably 6, 7 years to really scaffold that first year to make it easy for students to complete the dissertation. As you can see, a good chunk of our students finish the coursework. It's that dissertation piece that they struggle with a little bit. Because what we find is if students don't finish their dissertation in those 3 years, once their cohort is gone, it's hard for them to stay focused and stay on task. And so we really try to do the best job we can to keep students moving along in the dissertation process. But as you all know, life happens. You know, we've had students who've had to stop out because of families' deaths, things have happened at work, they've had to take a new job, got divorced, got married, had children. So life happens with full-time professionals. And so some students either take a little bit longer or they actually don't end up finishing. I've actually just worked this past year with 2 students from the class of 2015 who are now finishing up. So some people come back after a few years as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go talk through the online program next, and then we'll leave some time for questions. So the online program is brand new. And when we were thinking about trying to create an opportunity for online doctoral education from NEC, we first thought about, well, maybe we'll just kind of adapt what we have in the hybrid program, just make it all online. But then we realized with everything that's going on, we have an opportunity to really think through how can we gear this to folks to really be change agents in society, in educational systems today. And so this focus, it's an educational leadership program. It's an educational leadership focus. The K-12, PK-12, and higher ed folks are all going to be in the same group. So it's not separate cohorts. It's just one big cohort, and really focusing on equity. And so equity is an intentional thread that is being woven in through all the courses. The content courses are totally different, but the dissertation courses, the research methods courses are set up the same way. So those credits are going to be structured the same way because we think we've done a pretty good job with helping students set up and do their dissertation work. Oh, I forgot to mention, there are actually 4 different courses that allow that where you'll be working on your dissertation. Just that's all you're going to be doing. So we create space in the program. Other programs don't necessarily have that, but we've created space to work on the dissertation. Similarly to the hybrid program, 60 credits, 15 courses, 3 years. It's going to be a little bit. It's going to be actually a full 3 years because we're starting in January, and the students will graduate in 3 years in December, rather than starting in July and then finishing it in May. And pretty much the similar pillars, but we've added equity to this. So equity is one of the program pillars in addition to the 4 others that we had in the hybrid program. Same three milestones. And the structure and format is going to be similar, but we're not going to have the residencies. So we won't have the 2 residencies per course unless students would like to do that. You know, we've actually in the last couple of years, we've had students ask to have additional Zoom meetings during courses so they can get connected. And so we'll leave that up to faculty and students to figure out. We will have a 1-week virtual residency in between the summer of the 1st and 2nd year and the 2nd and 3rd year. And during that time, what we'll do is pretty much similar to what we do in the in-person residency. Is in the 1st year, there'll actually be some coursework, but we'll also build in some workshops on writing, academic writing, APA formatting, because that's a struggle for a lot of students, and some other research related connections. And so we really kind of think about it almost like, feels kind of like a conference in many ways, because there's some coursework which are really activity based, and then we build in some workshops in there. And as I mentioned, the dissertation process is scaffolded throughout that 1st year. Not only are there assignments in each of the courses, including annotated bibliographies, which allows students the opportunity to explore their topic and dig down deep a little bit, and also build their literature for their literature review chapter. But also papers where students can explore their topics. We give the students some freedom in the topics they explore. And then also doing in both the qualitative methods course and the quantitative methods course, doing practice dissertation or research proposals to begin to actually kind of practice writing a proposal using different methodologies. As I mentioned, we scaffold that through the courses. The second year is typically data collection year. So that's really focusing on the content in the courses, but students will be working on the data collection. Some of the courses that we offer in the online program are going to be Sociology of Education. So that is going to be actually the first course. We'll have the Qualitative Methods, the Quantitative Methods course. We also offer this Systemic Educational Reform, Innovative Leadership, Pedagogy, Politics, and Policy for Teaching and Learning, Leadership for Equitable Educational Organizations, and a few more. And in a second, I'll add in I'll drop into the chat box course descriptions for those, so you get a sense of what those courses are, and also an outline of what the series of courses are. We call it a course map. So which course are you going to take each term? And as I mentioned, the equity is going to be a focus through all. This is not a social justice program. It's not a social justice and education program. It's an educational leadership program that is centered around equity. And so equity is going to really be a theme through everything, but we're also going to be talking about those other elements. So even when we talk about research methods, we'll be talking about it from an equity perspective. We'll take a look at not only Western approaches to research, but we'll take a look at indigenous approaches to research. How are those paradigms different? How can that really open up how we approach the way we do this work? And really challenge what we think about validity and reliability. What's credible evidence? So we're really kind of deconstruct and interrogate some of those traditional concepts, which really aren't typically challenged in doctoral programs, which I'm really excited about. And we're starting to do some of that in the hybrid program as well. So if you're like, I'm really interested in the hybrid program, but I want the equity piece, we're beginning to build that in as we think through, what we're going to be able to pull some stuff from both programs into the other. And same thing, we have a cohort model. We set up very similarly. It's just going to be a little bit more connected via Zoom and other ways rather than in person. Same, accessible faculty. We're still working on hiring the faculty for this new program, but my goal is still the same, is to hire people who are professionals in the field. Given that it's an online program, I can actually pull people from around the nation or around the world to teach. We'll also include some folks from maybe perhaps even outside the United States as guest speakers. So really try to pull in multiple perspectives. And the research topics are pretty much similar, can be the similar as what I talked about before. Pretty much anything you may be interested in, as long as it's related to education, we're open for it. So we may for some students, we have to say you've got to kind of bring it in a little bit, because you can't really do some of the topics people have, you can't do in 3 years. But other than that, which is pretty typical for a dissertation, people think big, but then because they don't realize how much work that is. But we'll help you get that down. But really the ultimate goal is your success. So we do whatever we can to help you graduate. I wouldn't necessarily call it hand-holding, but we do a lot of individual outreach. We have faculty, even if they're not teaching, they'll come in during residencies in the hybrid program. We meet with students either in person or virtually at night, on weekends, first thing in the morning, via text, via email, via phone, via video, whatever works for you all. Our goal really as faculty is to help you graduate. Because not only do we want you to graduate, we want you to be change agents and make the world better. And so we want to make sure that you finish this degree so you can make that